In 2019, I did a writing on a performance film I made in which I was preparing a traditional grinding stone. In the piece, I reflected on how the performance felt like a coming of age moment, as it reminded me of when I used to watch my grandma puree her vegetables as a child. In the writing, I found myself observing more deeply my love for learning and its significant role in my practice, as at the time I had begun a new project in which I was learning pre-colonial art forms from traditional craftspeople as a way to understand and connect more to my Nigerian heritage. I wrote on the interesting childish play that is involved in the process of learning and reenacting, the whole idea of imitation and copying behavior as a potent method for children to understand the world around them. What I enjoyed the most in my writing was talking about the process of learning, and especially learning from people with years of experience in their craft. As a proud perfectionist, I adore the illusionary idea of being great at something on the first go. But in the process of learning from people with decades to their craft, I gained a new humbling admiration. There is something mesmerizing about watching someone with such an intimate connection to a material, skill, and/or process. It's like when you're watching them work, you're experiencing the years of mastering play alongside them, which makes the learning feel like such an intimate process, almost like you're third wheeling a friend on their honeymoon. Baba was the first craftsperson I ever learned from. He was officially known as Mr. Enumana, an 82-year-old basket weaver from the community of Ahiabaobi, Isialangwa North in Abia State, Nigeria, aka my village. On the Christmas of 2019, I had informed my parents about my interest in studying pre-colonial crafts and asked if I could learn from a traditional weaver over the holiday, and they agreed. My aunt had known Mr. Enumana since they were children, and she had described him as the best weaver in the community and one of the last. We began our classes over the week-long holiday and would start each lesson at 7 a.m. sharp, much earlier than the lazy mornings I was used to. And while I struggled to get up for 7 a.m., Mr. Enumana would be up by 5 a.m. preparing the palm we needed for each class. During the duration of our lesson, he would teach me how to weave a traditional basket, emphasizing the importance of both functionality and aesthetic, and how to make an ngara, a traditional sieve used to dry gari, which is cassava, and egusi, which are watermelon seeds. On the day of our last class, he left me with instructions on how to finish the ngara. That okay, okay, okay. And informed me that there was one last thing he would like to teach me on my next visit to the village. Sadly, this visit would not come in time, and we would not get to have our last session. Early 2023, Mr. Enumana passed away. In the 3 years that followed our first lessons, so much would happen between family, uni, and post-graduation that would make my return to the village less and less likely. Mr. Enumana would call from time to time to check in, and I would send my regards through my aunt, but sadly, our paths would never physically cross again. There are so many projects I wanted to work with Mr. Enumana on, so many things I wanted him to be a part of, but for now, I have to settle with having him exist as just the inspiration behind these ideas. In August 2021, I reached out to my aunt's mom to learn my second craft. In Abia State, there's a woven fabric called akwete, which is woven by women from the Undoki community. My aunt's mom was one of these women, and although she had explained to me that only women from or married into the community could be taught the skill, she was willing to have me over to observe and document the process. We had planned the visit for August 2021, but I was not able to make it. Early this year, she also passed away, and I never got to apologize to her for not being able to make it. Losing two craftsmasters I still had more to learn from after deciding to stay back in the UK. It was hard for me to not see both events as mutually exclusive, or in this case, one maybe as a punishment for the other. In December 2022, on a visit to an art Christmas market in Hackney, I met a textile weaver, Alexandra Lucas. She was making amazing pieces using a process called backstrap weaving.
Backstrap weaving is probably the oldest way of making fabric. It was apparently used by the ancient Mayans. So I learnt backstrap weaving through basically watching YouTube and seeing how the indigenous women made their fabrics using this type of loom. It's a full body experience. It literally wouldn't work without you sitting in it. Otherwise, it's just a mess. You are the structure of the loom. It makes it obviously hugely labour intensive and physically intensive. In some ways, you become part of the machine, or you're the machine itself, and your body and your mind are focusing on one thing, and that is to make fabric completely out of scratch.
With only a few household pieces, she showed me how I could connect to the crafts I felt I had lost with the passing of my aunt. A new means to learn, and in this case, a new craftsmaster. Inspired by her, I realized one beautiful thing. Nothing is ever stopped. Like matter, projects, ideas, and inspirations may morph and change in ways we sometimes hope they don't or didn't. But still, they never just cease to exist. They are never destroyed. They grow with us. They transform with our lives. And because one path overgrows, doesn't mean it cannot be retraced and trimmed to shape, or a new path can be forged. One thing I loved about being back home in Nigeria was my access to learning from a wide range of skilled people in an environment I felt safe. And although I'm not back home now, I can work on bringing that experience and expanding that love for learning and creating into this new landscape. Slowly, I can work on finding that sense of home, comfort, and familiarity. Who knows where it could take me? The possibilities are endless.